How's it going, everybody? Bryan, Alvarez, and Dave Meltzer here, Wrestling Observer Radio, January 29, 2018, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Obviously, the Royal Rumble was last night. We're going to recap the entire pay-per-view here in a moment, but first, obviously, the big news notes coming out of it, a couple of other notes as well, then we'll get into the review. Ronda Rousey, not in Colombia. She was at the Royal Rumble.
She was in Colombia. She flew on a charter jet back. And she tried to be like hidden because it was a charter jet, and the only place anyone would have seen her apparently would have been to tip people off would have been customs, and she didn't fly with any people that she usually flies with, and she sent Travis Brown back to California because they figured if anybody saw Travis Brown, they would figure it out. So they really wanted to hide it, even though the reality is once people knew that the Women's Rumble was going on last, everyone pretty much figured it out. And again, I think that it was like one of those things that everybody, I don't want to say they knew, but it's not like this was something that we haven't talked about over and over and over again. Although she wasn't in the Rumble, but the fact that she was going to be there and do something to set up Mania. But she went to great lengths, including going to Colombia and leaving like the day before. I think she left like 24 hours before to get there. Now everyone's got the story of her signing a contract. Obviously, this deal has been put together a long time ago. She's been training since last summer. So, I mean, I don't know when pen went to paper on this, but I knew last summer that she was going in. Now, they're saying that it is a full-time wrestling deal for multiple years that she's going to do that. It was interesting because I was told she was going to do the wrestling for a while, and then she wanted to have kids and start a family. But I don't know. I don't know if full time means going on the road, and doing that wrestler schedule. And in a sense, I think that may not be. I don't know if that's a good thing, doing a full time, or it's just a Lesnar schedule. The Lesnar schedule makes the most sense for everyone involved. And there's a lot to this. She said that she could make more money doing other things, which I guess means movies or obviously fighting. She could make way more money. That goes without saying. But she wants to do this. She likes it. That's all. She's a real fan. I mean, I've seen her at shows. Actually, I've only seen her at one show, but she goes to she was at a bunch of PWG shows that I wasn't at, and I mean, she's definitely a fan. She's trained with a lot of the women that are there in Italia. I think Becky Lynch. I know Charlotte for sure. They like her. They know that they respect her greatly because they know that her role was very important in their expanding and they're getting better chances than they've ever had before. I mean, the reality is there would be no women's evolution, whatever it's called, Rumble, Money in the Bank match and all that if Ronda Rousey hadn't proven that she could draw money and, make it seem like that WWE was behind the curve, which they were in this situation. And now, the Women Rumble headlined because of her, the pay-per-view. And it looks like this makes sense now because remember we were talking about Triple H and Strowman, and then I had heard it was going to be the plan was Miz and Strowman. So Triple H is out, and then it was kind of like that it was probably for something here. So it looks like it's going to be the Stephanie match in a tag. I don't know if Dwayne Johnson's obviously the guy that they want. I don't know if that one's going to be possible or not. But that's sort of a working idea. Obviously, if she's going to be around for a while, there's going to be a match with Charlotte. There's going to be a match with Asuka. There'll probably be a match with other people at certain points. But I think that the key thing here, one of the key things here also, it doesn't really, a lot of people are like, well, how, is she going to get over? Is she going to be a good worker? How's her talking going to be and all that? And all those things are important for sure. But the thing is, what's most important right now is that they got a ton of publicity tonight, and they will at WrestleMania as well, over the fact that Ronda Rousey is on their roster as a regular person during their contract year. And because of that, no matter how well she does or doesn't do, it's worth so much. She's going to be worth far, far more to them than they're going to be paying her, because of the idea that, I mean, it greatly raises the value of the television show to potential suitors when you've got Ronda Rousey, who's a proven draw, even though it's in a different field. The bottom line is it's still Ronda Rousey, who's a big name. And I think that's a real key to the story, among the many keys to the story. There's, another key is just the fact that it's a high profile something with Stephanie again. And it's a caliber of sports star that they've never been able to get as a regular, because Ronda's a bigger sports star than Lesnar. I mean, maybe not as a drawing card for pro wrestling, she won't be. I think in the long run, it'll be difficult for her to be, but from a mainstream standpoint, she's a much bigger name. So it's a real coup that they pulled off on this one. I mean, they've been working on it for a long time, and this is how it was introduced. She didn't win the Rumble, and I don't know. Anything else you think significant about the Ronda thing?
Well, what's the story with The Rock?
I don't know what the story is with The Rock. I mean, that's the proposed match, but he's got the reason Rock hasn't wrestled since 2013 is the insurance issues, because if he's attached to movies, and he's attached to many movie projects, those movie projects have to get insurance on him, to make sure that he's healthy, because there's so many millions and millions and millions of dollars when it comes to these things. Because what happened with the Hercules movie is, because he got hurt doing the second Cena match, they had to delay the Hercules movie. And he also got hurt. This has nothing to do with wrestling, but if you remember when he did the football movie, I think, was it Game Plan, right? The football movie? He tore his Achilles tendon, so they had to delay that for a while too. So because of that, it's like the movie, for a star of the caliber of him, if he's got a big project, there's just too much money involved in the potential of having to delay these projects. Now, if he has a clear schedule and he's got nothing going on for months after, and I don't know that the guy's ever got a clear schedule, then it's not an issue. So again, I can't say it's impossible, but this match, they want to do this match at the WrestleMania in AT&T Stadium, in Arlington, Texas, and Rock couldn't wrestle on that show, and I know Rock did do, he did do that one thing where he did the 9-second thing, but that's not really a wrestling match. I mean, he could do that, but it's like I don't know what it is, but it's difficult for him to do that because of the insurance situation. I mean, that's the last time when the whatever it was, the last Mania, the Dallas Mania, when I was asking about, like, can he do something, and it was like he couldn't work on that show in a match. He could make an appearance, he can do promos or whatever. Or I take that back. That maybe the San Jose show, where it was like that. But one of those shows. But it's been that way for years, so I don't know how easy. Like I said, I don't know how easy it would be to get him. I know WWE wants to get him. I mean, you have that match now. You've got this giant mainstream match because Rock is a bigger star now because of the his movie success than he ever was. Even 3-4 years ago when he was working with Cena, and he was already a huge star then, but he's an even bigger star now. So for him to do a match at WrestleMania just for the pub and everything like that, I mean, it would be incredible for WWE. I just don't know if it can happen, and I don't know if that's out of the question. If you're going to do the mixed tag, I don't know who the partner would be. I'm not sure that there's, I'm sure there's.
I mean, honestly, the answer, if it's not Rock, is it should be Strowman.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they're pushing the guy hard. They did the thing with Strowman and Triple H at Survivor Series. I mean, he's a guy they want to give the rub to. I mean,
yeah. Well,
kind of looks like Travis Brown. What more do you want?
Yeah, but I mean, what bigger rub than being in that match for mainstream, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
honest to God, if it's my company and the choice are, I could put Strowman in with Ronda Rousey against Triple H and Stephanie, or I could do Braun Strowman in The Miz.
well, come on.
He's going in the tag match.
Obviously, I think that's a no-brainer. So yeah, that's you know.
And the other thing that's interesting is the whole idea of her being a regular, whatever the hell that means. I mean,
I don't know what
they've done a very good job. I shouldn't say very good job. They've done fine with Asuka. She's undefeated. They're pushing her hard. But like, if you look at Absolution, Riot Squad, all these other girls that they brought in, it took them like 2 weeks. They're just girls on the roster.
Well, she won't be that because they won't beat her for a long, long time. You know, so that's not going to be a problem. But again, if she's there as a weekly character, you know, there's the issue of her flaws. It's like if she's not a good talker, and speaking in front of people, you know what I mean? Then it will be exposed. If she's not a good wrestler, I mean, and again with me, I don't know that I'd ever have her wrestle on television. Maybe once, just, you know, for ratings on a, you know, built up for a while, you know, like a big match if you want to do something. The ratings tomorrow is going to be very interesting to see how. I don't anticipate it being as big as last week's because that's, you know, it's 4.5 million viewers, but there's been a lot of publicity today, you know, since that show ended, and there'll be publicity all day tomorrow. And I think there'll be curiosity to see if she's on Raw. I have no idea if she will be. She probably should be if she's there full time, right? At least on this one.
If she's signed to a full-time contract, she absolutely positively should be on Raw tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole... They moved the women's match to the main event position for her angle. I mean, she's got to be on the show. I think.
I would think so. I think she's got to be, and she's got to talk, and they've got to start whatever angle they're going to do. So, yeah, you know, I mean, whatever the situation is. So, but yeah, I think it's you know, they're very, very lucky in the sense that you got someone who has got all the, you know, it's like if you got all the money in the world and you just want to be happy and you're happy doing this, but it's like Brock Lesnar is really happy with this job. You know, he won't let he may not let people know that because it might hurt his...
Why the hell wouldn't he be? What a job.
Like, oh, yeah, you make millions of dollars a year and you work however many dates, right? So, I mean, like, if she gets that Brock Lesnar job, I mean, that's, you know, that's great. And I'm sure she's going to get, you know, I can't imagine her not getting Brock Lesnar money. I mean, for all the talk of she could make more money elsewhere, yes, but she's not going to work cheap either. And she's worth it. And they know she's worth it. So, you know, just for the television rights fees and the media publicity. But, you know, like the one thing that Brock has that's so great is Heyman, because Brock just has to show up on TV and Heyman cuts his promo and he just smiles and he has to just go into matches and destroy people. You know, some better than others, obviously. But, you know, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But the whole thing is that, again, it's as a weekly character, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's the right thing for her. Plus, I think that she may get tired of it, being a weekly character. But if you go in there every now and then, you know, you're probably not gonna get tired of it. Especially because they're gonna push you and they're gonna be nice to you and, you know, and all that. And she enjoys the doing it. But yeah, like the idea of a full-time character, that sounds like doing house shows and stuff. That I'd just be shocked if she does that. I mean, I don't know, she's not. I don't know what full-time means, but I guess we'll see in the next couple weeks how often that she's on television.
Story with Rey Mysterio.
So he's in. He did well. The deal was for one shot. That doesn't mean that they won't make a deal. Obviously, he's got commitments, but I don't know that he's got any contracts. You know, he's the face of Aero Lucha, but who knows, you know, what's going to happen there. He's, you know, the face of the Crash. He's got Thursday, he's got the 5-star wrestling gig in Liverpool, and he's supposed to be on a lot of those shows. So he's actually got a pretty heavy schedule of commitments, and he's making really good money. Obviously, he can make if he signs a full-time deal with WWE, he could make a lot more money than he could make anywhere else right now. If they would do that, and he got a big reaction. So and he looked great. So
looked awesome.
Yeah, he looked great.
Best shape in years. No knee braces on.
Yeah, and he's been working a lot too. He's been working more than he did when he was there before. And flying around, moving just great. He is one of the best workers in the whole business when he's healthy. So but this was a one-shot deal, and but they it can end up being more. I know some people think of 205 Live general manager, and I've been told that that's absolutely not the case. And by the way, if it was, that would be like one of the most horrendous ideas known to mankind, and a waste of him to do that. But we'll have to wait and see how it all goes. I don't know how much in advance he was, this deal was put together, but I do know this was another one where, he was told, and they wanted this totally top secret. So, I don't know, again, I don't know who he told, but he didn't tell. I know, I obviously know a lot of people who are friends of his, and I usually know how Rey is doing and things like that. And I did not know this one. But anyway, that is the deal, though, in the sense that it's a one shot. He is right now working, as of right now, all these other dates that he's advertised for, all over the world, he's still doing them. But, whether he'll go back, it didn't look like he was going to go back at all until recently. And, again, but it's not out of the possibilities that he can go back and do something. He would never work that full-time schedule. But the one thing before is that, Randy Orton doesn't work that full of a schedule, and they're giving guys, and they would certainly, I think be able to, before it was one of those things where unless you're Undertaker, they didn't want to set a precedent of letting guys work part-time schedules when Rey was there the last time. So Rey was always getting hurt and missing 6 months because he was always, and they'd bring him back and he'd work that hard schedule. But now I think that everyone's a lot smarter on how they use talent. And guys are getting a lot more breaks when they're older if they want them. So I think that for all concerned, I think it's a lot better fit now than when he was trying to get out of his contract and all those problems that they had a couple of years ago.
All right, a couple of quick New Japan notes, and we'll do the Rumble. Cody and Tanahashi.
Yeah, so Cody's injury was a broken cheekbone. So it wasn't a broken nose, but that's the deal. I think that happened, I believe it happened at the Nashville Ring of Honor tapings. I don't know how. And Tanahashi, he's definitely out for the rest of this tour. Everything else is kind of sketchy. I've been led to believe that he's going to be out for a long time, in the sense of maybe until G1. But I've been told that by people who should know and everything, but it's not, it's Japan, and everything is very, when it comes to Tanahashi, it's because of his star power and everything like that. He's a real drawing card, and I don't know they want people to know how long he's going to be out, but it looks, past. But yeah, it looks like, he's going to be out for a while. I don't know that he's going to be doing the WrestleMania dates that he was originally scheduled to do. I don't know for sure that he's not. So, officially he's only out until March, but the way that angle was shot and everything like that. And it could be for a while, and hopefully whether he needs surgery or not, I don't know. But it would be, it's time for them to let him heal his injuries.
Alrighty, the 2018 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Take us through the 2-hour pre-show, 3 matches.
Yeah, not much. In fact, almost, I would say, I don't know. I mean, it's pre-show matches. What are you going to do? Kalisto and Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado against TJP, Jack Gallagher, and Drew Gulak. It's the same thing that they've been doing, where TJP loses and his partners get mad at him for losing. He was trying to use the trunks to get a pin on Kalisto. Kalisto used the Salida del Sol. I mean, it was worked well. You know, the crowd was just coming in. They were just opening the doors when these guys came in, which is kind of like, as a wrestler, when you're going out there, when people are just coming through the doors and you're working in front of an empty building. I remember Miz wasn't too happy about doing that. Not one of those shows a couple months back ago. Maybe it was WrestleMania or something, but it was one of those big shows. And yeah, it's just very, very difficult. But they did nothing wrong in the match. You know, they're all good wrestlers, but it was not even as good as a 205 Live match. It was just, I don't know. Then Bobby Roode and Mojo Rawley. Wait. There's one more. There was Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson against the Revival. This was the Even Steven. The Revival won when Dash Wilder chop blocked Carl Anderson. They'd worked on Carl Anderson's knee. Dash Wilder chop blocked him and pinned him. He went to hold the trunks, but he didn't get his hand on the trunks. But anyway, they won pretty clean. And I mean, it really wasn't anything special of a match, but there's one thing if you really watch the match very closely, you really could see little things with the Revival. I mean, this was hardly one of those great Revival matches that you've probably seen before, but they are really, everyone knows they're a good team. I don't know if they're going to do well on the main roster. It's, you kind of saw that show on Raw, that Raw show, and you kind of wonder what's going on. And, but, there were just little things about how they run and block and things like that, I mean, it's just really good basic stuff. So anyway, nothing special as a match, but they're quite good. And the other team's good too, but it's still whatever. And then Bobby Roode and Mojo Rawley. I don't know who. I'm presuming Ziggler was the guy that was supposed to be in the spot. I don't know that as a fact. I just know that
because they had such a great idea for him in the Rumble.
Well, there were. I heard there were 3 major changes, but I don't know what they were between this afternoon and the show. So, and one of them was whoever Bobby Roode was going to wrestle was moved to the Rumble. And Raw was Mojo in the Rumble, wasn't he, or was he never mentioned in the Rumble?
I never saw him in the Rumble.
No, I mean he wasn't in the Rumble. I mean,
was he announced to be in the Rumble?
Yeah. I
don't remember.
Yeah, okay. But whatever. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, this match actually was this match was disappointing. When they did their TV match a couple weeks ago that I really liked, I thought that, people obviously were very disappointed when Rawley came out. They were expecting somebody new and different. And so it was kind of like you start off weak, and then the match just never got untracked. It was it was really just a nothing match. I would say it was, would I say it was the worst match of the night? I mean, obviously the Seth Rollins match, because of the placing of it, dying so badly, you could say that was worse. But that, if that Seth Rollins match, if it was done on a different time, I mean, I think that the reaction, put it this way, if that match was done in this spot, it would have been a million times better than this match. So I think this was the weakest match on the show.
All right, the main show opened up with the WWE title match. AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Handicap match for the belt. Super hot crowd when this match first started. So basically, handicap match, Zayn and Owens had to tag in and out. And Owens is working with a back injury. Double teamed AJ forever. And finally, Owens missed a cannonball in the corner, sold his ankle. So they did this awesome spot where AJ is making his comeback, and Owens hit him with a monkey flip, and AJ flew into a Hurricane Rana on Sammy.
That was really cool. That was really good stuff.
Yep, AJ with a calf crusher, but Sammy broke it up. He had it on Owens. Bunch of big near falls at the end. There was a great near fall where Kevin super kicked AJ from the apron, and Sammy hit the Blue Thunder Bomb, which was even better because on the SmackDown show, that's the move that Sammy pinned AJ with. So they'd established it as a finisher.
Yep. Well, and also he's been using this now as his finisher. They've switched they've gone to where you do the Helluva kick and then the Blue Thunder Bomb, as opposed to the Blue Thunder Bomb being a transition move and the Helluva Kick being the big finisher. So this has been, I mean, maybe it was set up this spot, but this of late has been his finisher.
So at a big spot where Sammy and AJ are trading forearms, and finally, AJ has Sammy on his shoulder, and Sammy is trying to reach for Kevin to get the hot tag. And they're actually too close to each other, so it was hilarious watching them not be able to tag each other. And they did not tag. And so AJ tossed Sammy outside. Owens, who was not the legal man, gets in the ring, goes for the power bomb. AJ rolls him up for the pin. So they did this deal afterwards where they're screaming at Shane, I got screwed again. Kevin's furious. Don't let a referee screw me again. And finally Shane says, are you asking me if I saw what just happened? And then his response to that was, yep. And he walked away. Did not care, did not restart the match. So I'm sure Daniel Bryan will sign a rematch on Tuesday. It was a fine opener. Not the best match on the show, but there was some good stuff in it.
Yeah. I liked it. I mean, I thought AJ was great, and you know, the other guys were, I mean, Sammy was good, and Owens, you know, he was fine. It didn't, I mean, it's like, I expect so much of AJ Styles pay-per-view matches, so it wasn't like it blew me away, but yeah, it was well done, sure. You know, compared to, you know, it was definitely a well done match.
We had the tag team title match, Usos versus Benjamin and Gable. Best of 3 falls was the stipulation. So they did things differently than you would expect. They had a long first fall, and they did every move in the book, and they kicked out of absolutely everything, to the point where you were wondering, what could they possibly do for 2 more falls? This question was answered, by the way. All of these, there was a Shelton powerbombing the Usos into each other, pay dirt, that's a near fall. Jay, big dive off both sides to everybody. Just one near fall after the other. And finally, they went for a double splash. Benjamin cut him off. Gable went for the chaos theory, but he got cut off, and both Usos double super kicked him for the pin. That's fall 1. So they killed
a million super kicks.
There was everything, like literally everything you could think of they did in this first fall. So Benjamin and Gable killed Jimmy outside with a doomsday device. Looked brutal. He just hit his head so hard on the floor. So they went to take out Jay, but after 1,000 near falls in the first fall, he scores 1 small package, gets the pin. They win in 2 straight. The match is over.
Yeah, I thought this match was a super disappointment.
It was a big letdown. But you know what? If they would have just done the 1 fall and given him a few more minutes, this would have been a really good match.
No shit. I know. Why is it don't you hate it when they do a stipulation that makes a match worse?
It's
when if they
just
done,
what they do.
And when they just would have done, if they would have, like you said, if that match would have been, because if you do the two falls together, you were at what was it? 14 minutes. Okay, so you did a 1 fall 14-minute match, and it was essentially the body of what they did in this match. You would come up and go like, yeah, it's a really good match, but really good. But because of the psychology of a 2 out of 3 fall match, when you have that second fall going so quick with that ending out of nowhere, it was like, I think some people thought, wow, it's clever because it wasn't 2 out of 3. But you know what? Clever when everyone groans when it's over, even though the babyface won. I don't think that's clever. I mean, look, anybody can come up with a stupid idea in wrestling that's new. Okay? I mean, or that doesn't work. I mean, it's like, that's not, I've never thought that like that's a great trait, is that you come up with an idea that goes against the grain of what you normally do and then it doesn't work. That doesn't, but it's new. Because there's a reason that things are done the way they are after 100 years in wrestling. You know, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's always new ideas that can work. But in this case, it did not work. I mean, this was, I was just so disappointed in this match.
Well, you know, the other thing too, I made a point in the opening match to say that when that match started, this crowd was going nuts. There was not a lot of heat for this match. And I think that the main reason for that is that in the first fall of a 3-fall match, fans don't have that feeling of, oh my God, the match can end at any time. These near falls are important. It's like, who cares who wins? There's like 2 more falls coming. Yeah. Whereas if this would have been a 1-fall match, I mean, there's a reason to get into every single one of those near falls because every single one of them is either the babyface is retaining or it's a title change.
Yeah. Also,
everything meant nothing in that first fall.
Yeah, you're right. But the other thing too is that whether for whatever reason, when it comes to WWE, and there's you know, and it's to a degree this happens with all promotions, but more with WWE, that if you have a match like a big star power match and you follow it with a lesser star power match, the people don't get into it. It's just how it is. They consider it the buffer match or the time off. You know, it's like if this match had opened the show, I think it still wouldn't have been good because I think people still would have groaned at the way that the second fall and all that. So this wasn't going to be good anyway, but I think it would have had more heat in the first fall, I think, not coming right after the AJ match. Because, you know, you have AJ who's like, you know, super over. I mean, like, you could really tell when, how over he was. I mean, number one, when he first came out and everything and just during that match, but also even in the Royal Rumble when Nakamura won and he got to pick. And, you know, in theory, you know, Brock's the superstar of the promotion, you know, with the A title and all that. But nobody wanted Nakamura to call Brock's name. Everybody wanted it to be AJ, which, you know, partially because everyone knows it's going to be a great match. But you know, it's just, like I said, like, you know, you're following AJ Styles. And, you know, it was like the other title match where they had to follow the Rumble, which was just freaking brutal. So, guys were, you know, this match, the stipulations and the placement and everything did these guys no favors. As far as like the wrestling and stuff, these guys, freaking Chad Gable.
These guys are awesome wrestlers. They're great.
Yeah, the Usos. I'll tell you what though, Jay, with those dives, I don't know how many more years he's going to be doing those because I was getting a little worried that he was going to clear those ropes on those crazy dives. You know, you could see he was just barely getting over. So, I don't know. Maybe he's going to have to modify it a little bit, like do a tope instead of like trying to get over like that. But no, you know, again, frickin', you know, just great wrestlers, but just whatever, didn't work.
So then we had the 2018 Men's Royal Rumble.
Third match on the card.
And actually, when this match started, there'd been rumors that the women's match was going on last. And when they brought the men out here, I was like, okay, so the women are going on last. It's either that or Brock, and it's probably going to be the women.
No.
And that means that Ronda's got to be here.
That's what everyone thought. Yeah. That's what it had to be, right? I mean, it's like, so that's what it was, yeah.
So Rusev...
I thought that was as soon as I heard in the afternoon that the women were probably going on last, I sensed that was confirmation of Ronda. And when it actually happened, when they put the men's Rumble match at this point, I was going like, I mean, that's pretty much got to be what it's got to be.
So Rusev Day and Finn Balor were number 1 and number 2. I got to mention, by the way, just right off the bat here, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Michael Cole absolutely sucked on this show. Booker T sucked on this show. Stephanie sucked on this show. Everybody sucked on this show. This was a bad day of commentary.
Well, you know what else was bad was in those matches where they had 4 commentators, because they had Lawler in this one, and they had Stephanie in the other one. And really, the one thing about last night's show, when Nigel McGuinness wasn't there, and we talked about how, you know what, I mean, like, you know, Percy Watson's nothing special or anything like that, but it was, and Mauro Ranallo, you know, talks a lot. You know, I mean, that's just his deal.
That's his gimmick.
I mean, his deal is he talks, he says a lot of words, and he's very, very intense, going crazy. By the way, evidently, I don't want to say like of all the things he's ever broadcast, because he broadcast Mayweather and McGregor and those Anthony Joshua fights, and you know, Mayweather Pacquiao, and I mean some of the biggest. I mean, the biggest combat sports events of the last couple of years. I mean, he's broadcast them because of the Mayweather, because you know he's the Mayweather announcer, or with Showtime and everything. But I know that he loved that freaking Johnny Gargano Andrade Cien Almas match. Like, it was, I think that he may have tweeted something along the lines of it was a career highlight, but that was a shoot from what I understand. That last night was like one of the greatest nights, and he did some of those awesome Pride shows. I mean, just think of all the stuff that he's done. Some of those great Strikeforce shows, but that one was really one of his highlights. Which, what the hell? It was an incredible match.
So Rhino is in third. Lots of ECW chants. Baron Corbin's in next. Toss a Rhino out. Everybody's upset. So Finn Balor tosses Baron Corbin, and Corbin is furious. And he yanks Finn out of the ring. He rams him into the dasher board, leaves him for dead. Lays out Rusev with the end of days. All these geeks come down to take him backstage. He's just in a rage. Heath Slater is next, and Corbin kills him on the ramp. So 3 bodies are left in his wake. So Elias comes out next, gets a huge pop.
Yeah, real big. He's getting over. I mean,
he is getting over.
Yeah, especially with the hardcores. I mean, the thing with him is, I mean, he's really, like I said, he's got a certain poise about him, where he's really a star. Except I never want to see him wrestle. His wrestling, it never interests me. But when he comes on and does the thing, I mean, he's absolutely a star.
So he comes out and he boots Heath's body for good measure. Heath is just takes him forever. He crawls a little bit closer, but every time someone comes out, they beat on him. So Andrade Cien Almas, the NXT champion, is next, and he hits the ring and does a series with the Drifter. Bray Wyatt is next. He also kills Heath Slater. Lots of Rusev Day chants throughout this match. Big E is next. Comes out with pancakes, feeds some to Heath Slater. This does not help Heath. Everybody else who Corbin laid out finally returns to the ring. There were a lot of guys and girls that spent a lot of time laying outside the ring in this Royal Rumble. I guess just to give the people in the Rumble more chance to shine.
To focus on certain spots, and with certain spots with, the less full the ring is, the more you can focus on certain guys doing spots. But, yeah. So that's probably, and the whole thing too is they wanted to get Corbin. They didn't, Corbin wasn't going to be, I mean, obviously he could have been in longer, but that wasn't the story. But the point is they wanted to get Corbin over while, in a unique way. So, because there were, he wasn't in long, but they were trying to protect him.
So Ty Dillinger is supposed to be number 10 again, which should be a recurring deal. But they cut backstage, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are beating his ass. And they leave him for dead, and Kevin says, "I've got this." And Sami says, No, I've got this. And he heads to the ring. So Sami ends up in the Rumble, and they've teased dissension between these two alleged best friends. So Sammy's number 10. Sheamus is.
Didn't you figure that was eventually going to happen?
It's inevitable.
Yeah, just a question. Just like with Owens and Jericho.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's a cool little tease. I mean, like the same as with Owens and Jericho. It's obviously the longer it goes, the better. Without breaking up, the better it will be when they finally break up.
So we had Sheamus, number 11. So Slater's still dead. It's been like 5 guys he hasn't gotten in the ring yet. So Sheamus comes down, he throws Slater into the ring, and as soon as he slides in, Slater clotheslines him over the top and eliminates him. That was awesome. But then Bray runs up behind, tosses Heath Slater, to which Michael Cole says, "What an effort by Heath Slater." Did absolutely nothing. 1 elimination, got tossed. Xavier's next, followed by Apollo Crews. Just a bunch of dudes in the ring doing stuff at this point. And then Shinsuke Nakamura enters. And the fans love him. They sing his song. Takes out everybody. They sang for like a full minute. Chanted his name. It's good to see a guy that ended up winning that everybody in Philly loved. And he tosses out Sami Zayn. Next in is Cesaro. More Rusev Day chants. Kofi Kingston is next. Cesaro tosses Apollo Crews. Jinder Mahal, who they claim has never been in a Royal Rumble, even though he has. He's next.
And he has? I didn't even know.
I think that's some 3MB stuff. So, first he tosses Xavier. Then he tosses Big E. So he's taken out all of the New Day. Seth Rollins comes in, tosses out Cesaro, and then Jinder throws out Kofi Kingston, the last member of the New Day, but he lands with 1 foot on Xavier's body. So Big E goes and he puts a plate of pancakes on the ground so Kofi can stand on them. Technically, they claim he has not touched the floor. They then catapult him into the ring, where he tosses out Jinder, who had eliminated the rest of them, and then Almas gives Kofi the DDT and tosses him. So that was actually one of the best spots in this entire Rumble. And by the way, it took so long that it was a 2-minute and 53-second interval there, which has to be an all-time record.
Well, they had to get it done.
They had to get it done. Matt Hardy is next. Him and Bray Wyatt teamed up and eliminated Rusev, and then they got into a brawl and both tumbled outside. Fans did not like that. They like John Cena even less. He gets in the ring, everybody surrounds him and stomps a mud hole in him. Now, Dave, Raw 25, we talked for a long time about that John Cena Drifter segment on the show, and John Cena and Undertaker, and all this talk about a big spot in the Royal Rumble with John Cena and the Drifter.
Well, they did do the spot.
Dude, the spot was Elias went up to him and John Cena threw him out.
That was the spot.
That was what I wasted all my life for on Raw 25. That
was the spot. Well, they'll probably do more because they're gonna work. They're gonna probably be working house shows, I'm gonna guess. So, you know, I mean, it's gonna be, you know, they'll probably keep it going until, you know, once they start having to focus on Mania. If under, you know, again, there's still nothing with Undertaker.
there isn't.
I know.
That was the most nothing spot in the history of spots.
Yeah.
So he's out of there. Next in is the Hurricane. And
Got a nice pop. Well, you know, every time you bring somebody back from the past, it's always going to get a nice
yeah, there were a lot of people brought back from the past tonight, so a lot of pops.
Yeah.
So Hurricane challenges Cena. He gets dumped, but they did some good comedy. Fans loved it. He posed afterwards. It was good. Aiden English is next. Lots of Rusev Day chants. And then Adam Cole.
Yeah. You know what?
His back all taped up after that spot last night.
Oh, the chair thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets a huge pop.
You know what? I mean, it's like, you know who would have gotten like an incredible pop that should have been out there is Gargano. More than,
You're right.
More than Adam Cole. Especially with, you know, I mean, I think that like, it's weird because it's like you had everyone from NXT, you know, which was only a few people that came out, got huge reactions as baby faces. But the thing is, it was like the number 2 and number 1 heel on the NXT men's side were the two guys that came out that got giant babyface reactions. And since you kind of know they're going to get babyface reactions, I mean, I can sort of see, okay, Almas is the champion, and you want to, you know, and Almas and Zelina Vega is a big main event act that, you know, you want to show them with that big reaction in case you're going to bring them up soon, which, you know, again, they've been, you know, Almas has been earmarked to come up for a long, long time anyway. It's just a question of, you know, when and pulling the trigger and all that. But I think that, like, as the big lesson for this is that you probably should be bringing in the baby faces from NXT. Because, like, last year with Ty Dillinger, who was a baby face and just got that incredible reaction. So anyway, Johnny Gargano, you know, whatever. It's like, it's not a big tragedy or nothing like that, but could you imagine if Johnny Gargano came in? They'd have blown the roof off the place. He'd have gotten one of the biggest pops of the whole night.
He would have. So Cole is in. Balor dumps Aiden English. And then, listen, the Gargano thing aside, they bring in Adam Cole and Andrade Cien Almas. And I thought, this is so easy. Adam Cole tosses out Andrade, and you can do a TV title match based on the Royal Rumble finish.
Absolutely.
Instead,
Easy.
Almas goes for a springboard, and Randy Orton
DDTs him.
RKO's him out of midair.
I mean, RKO's him, yeah, right.
Tosses him outside. I was like, was that necessary? Why? There was nobody else that could do a springboard into an RKO? Like Randy Orton, is he going to NXT to face the champion? Doubtful.
No.
That I was not happy with.
Well, you know what? I mean, there were other ways to do it. You're right. That would have been, you know, that's maybe where, let's see, where Aleister Black should have come in. and tossed out Andrade Cien Almas.
Whoever. Just like anybody except Randy Orton.
Well, whoever's going to be his next opponent.
I mean, Rey Mysterio, he was eventually going to be eliminated. He couldn't have done a springboard into an RKO.
Oh, you mean as far as the guy who's doing the springboard?
Yeah,
into the RKO?
anybody could have done it.
Anyone, you could have done that with anybody. Anyone who can do a springboard, which is a lot of guys, sure.
So Titus O'Neil's in next.
Although, having said that, that was a really cool spot.
It was cool, but it was a stupid idea. Like, well, maybe Randy gives him the RKO and Adam Cole throws him out. Anything.
Yeah.
Do something if they're going to be in the Rumble. Don't make them look like, NXT geeks that are way below the main roster superstars.
They got, look, the crowd reacted to them really big, and they got time. So I got no problem with how they booked them. And in the past I had no problem with how they were booked. But yes, your idea is better than their idea, for sure. So, yeah.
So Titus O'Neil and then The Miz. He lays out Cena with a skull-crushing finale. That got a big pop. Rey Mysterio in next. Great shape. Like I noted, no knee braces, moving great. He tossed Adam Cole. Hits a 619 on The Miz.
Well, one of the things there, which I thought was smart, is whoever tossed out Adam Cole, the people were going to be pissed, but because it was Rey, they weren't that pissed.
So then we've got Roman Reigns. He's hated. He tosses Titus. Goes to toss The Miz, but The Miz Taraj stops it, so Roman Superman punches them. Seth hits Miz with a curb stomp. They give him the Shield powerbomb onto the Miz Taraj. And then in my other most hated spot of this entire Royal Rumble, Roman grabs his friend Seth and eliminates him. And Seth lands on the ground and he smiles. Ha ha ha!
Yeah.
You scoundrel, you threw me out of the Rumble. He lost out on a world championship match in the main event of WrestleMania.
Well, let's see what happens tomorrow.
It was stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing nothing happens tomorrow, but like every time I say let's see it play out, and it never plays out, but
and the commentators are like, well, he's laughing because he would have done the same thing himself. And I'm like, well, he didn't. So how can you say that? He had an opportunity. He did not throw out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns threw out him. Goldust 29, we had a very light, to the point you could barely hear it, Daniel Bryan chant. And at number 30...
I didn't even hear it.
It was very, very light.
Yeah.
So number 30, we'd had a lot of people on Observer Live text in with the idea that they would hit Daniel Bryan's music, but it would be Dolph Ziggler because he'd done months and months of the gimmick where he stole other people's entrances.
That would have been great.
You know what? They just hit his music, and he just came out.
That would have been great. What a great idea that they didn't do.
He
oh, well.
comes out, he tosses out Goldust, and then Finn just eliminates Dolph.
So
what in the hell is going on?
He's been gone. So he's been gone for all this time to come back for that?
For that! As number 30.
Yeah. Wow. That boggles the mind.
It boggles the mind. So Roman tossed Orton, Finn tossed Rey, comes down to Cena, Finn, Roman, and Nakamura. So Cena and Roman are trying to get the crowd into a face-off, but crowd just chants, you both suck. Cena's screaming for Finn and Nakamura to break him up. They break him up. They try the Roman-Cena stare down again. Nobody cares. And finally, Finn takes out Nakamura with a double foot stomp. And then he gets tossed.
That was a great double foot stomp.
Yep. He looked like he killed him.
Oh, it looked like, and Nakamura sold it for a long time too, which was also good.
So Cena tosses Finn and the fans are furious. They're chanting for Nakamura. So here we are in Philly, the two most hated guys, Roman and Cena, double teaming Nakamura. Cena gives Reigns the AA. Him and Nakamura fight by the ropes. Nakamura gives him a Kinshasa. Cena eliminated. So it's down to Nakamura and Roman. All sorts of spots back and forth. Superman punch, Kinshasa, triangle in the ropes, power bomb, spear. And finally, Roman goes to toss Shinsuke, but he fights, kills him with a kick, tosses him over the top, and gets the win. Nakamura going on to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania. As far as Royal Rumble goes, Tom and I have been watching all of them. We've watched 88 through 2011 so far. Mm-hmm. This was in the top percentage of them. This was a pretty good Rumble.
I thought this was a really good match. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, especially because, again, like, there's a few nitpicky things that we said about booking that could have been better.
But there weren't many.
No,
there were like 3.
Okay, but as far as like reading the crowd, the idea of Nakamura being left with Cena and with Roman Reigns, the two guys this crowd was so scared were going to win, versus the guy who they wanted to win more than anyone, that's great.
It was.
That's great freaking stuff. I mean, it's like they took the fact that they knew that crowd was sitting there. And the other thing, too, is because it's John Cena and because it's Roman Reigns, that crowd is absolutely, like, even if they expected that Nakamura was winning, they absolutely knew that, well, Cena may have a chance, and Roman's got a pretty damn good chance of winning. And they just were so mad about it. So they got what they wanted. It was better for Nakamura to win over those guys. You know, plus, you know, again, you know, he threw out Roman Reigns, who's the biggest star in the company that's a full-time guy. So I think that Finn Balor kind of was helped by this. You know, just the fact that he was in there for so long and everything. I think that, you know, I don't know how much the follow-up they're going to get, but I thought that he was helped. And, yeah, I mean, like, Nakamura hasn't been used for the best or anything like that, but he came out of this with great momentum, especially when he said he was going to fight AJ at WrestleMania. And it's like, people reacted to that like it's like a Super Dream match, which again, you know, I mean, it could be. They had great matches in Japan. They had one great match in Japan that everyone remembers anyway.
So then we had this awkward, phony meeting backstage. Stephanie angled Bryan and Shane. Stephanie promised we would be pleasantly surprised by the Women's Royal Rumble. Rollins and Jordan versus Sheamus and Cesaro for the tag titles. So Jordan's hurt. He did nothing. They posted him for...
They just took him out. It was essentially a handicap match.
10 boring minutes before a dead crowd. They beat up Seth Rollins.
You know what? Okay. I watched this match, and, I mean, yeah, it was boring because of the crowd and all that, but I have seen that same type of match in front of different crowds, and that type of story and everything usually works, but it was just... That Rumble.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
That Rumble was too good.
There's a difference. Usually when something like this happens, the fans like both baby faces.
True.
They don't like Jason Jordan. They didn't even care if Jason Jordan tagged in or not. And the story of this match, I mean, honest to God, if the guy doesn't have a partner and it's 2-on-1, I mean, I guess we did see it in the opener, but I mean, this match should have been like 4 or 5 minutes. It was like 13, which was way too long. And Seth finally tags in Jordan. Jordan gets inside, then he grabs his head. He immediately tags back out, sounding like he's got a concussion. Seth is angry he doesn't get in there, and then Seth goes back in, gets double-teamed and pinned. Tag titles change. This was a fail.
Well, we got a title change. Yep.
We did get a title change. This was not the best match on the show, to say the least. Lesnar, Strowman, Kane, WWE title. They actually went 11 minutes, and this was like... It was a sloppy match, but it was a good, violent, 3 monsters, sloppy, violent match. Listen, the last time I saw Lesnar and Strowman in the ring together, they had a wrestling match.
It was better than
this was a billion times better than that.
Yeah, but it I don't know what it was, but they were doing the match I expected, especially after that last one. You know, that laid out big spots, and it wasn't clicking though.
It was all right. I mean,
it wasn't bad, but I mean, it wasn't good. I thought actually Kane was pretty bad. Strowman, you know.
Well, we didn't need Kane except to do a job.
Yeah.
So really, he largely was in the way, and there were some spots that went wrong, like...
Braun Strowman kneed him in the head, and Brock just gave him a freaking receipt.
Oh, my God, did he ever give that guy... Dude... Strowman knees him in the head, and Brock like shakes his head a little bit, and then he gives this guy a body blow, and then punches him right in the face.
Right in the side of the head.
Dude.
Yeah.
So that taught him a lesson.
That knee was really stiff too.
Well, he learned a very valuable lesson here.
Yeah.
And one spot where
don't knee Brock Lesnar in the head.
No.
Really hard.
Kane shoved Braun into a table, and the table just broke. Looked sloppy. A couple of table spots where the table didn't break, but then just collapsed, which actually was kind of cool. Braun did this like the worst German you ever saw, but it looked real the way he did it because it was so bad.
Oh, we just tried to power him, yeah.
He just yanked him over his head. And then finally, Lesnar gave Kane the F5 through the table. Actually, this was Strowman. Tipped the table over onto him. He gave Kane the F5 through the table. Braun burst up out of the rubble, got in the ring, hit his power slam, but did not go for the cover. He went for a second one, and Kane broke it up with a chair shot. Braun falls outside, goes for the tombstone. Brock slips behind Kane, gives him the F5 onto a chair for the pin. I mean, it was an ugly fucking match, but what were you expecting with these three? They gave you exactly what you were expecting. I didn't mind it at all. And then the women's...
I don't know. Didn't I didn't like the match. I mean, it's just, I don't like weapons matches that people are immune to the weapons or whatever. But and the match was booked so much. I mean, they do know that Braun Strowman is like one of their top guys, and they do everything in their power to protect him. So you had a lot of spots where he was just throwing Brock around like it was nothing.
And so the main event, the Women's Royal Rumble match. The fans gave the concept a standing ovation, and then they booed Maria Menounos as ring announcer. They booed Stephanie, and then they brought out Alexa, who got booed, of course, and Charlotte to just sit there. Alexa and Charlotte Flair sat there for an hour, and then stood there for another 10 minutes after the match, and never said one word. So Sasha's number 1, Becky's number 2. They tried to submit each other early here in this Royal Rumble. Sarah Logan was in next. Then Mandy Rose. Stephanie on commentary is just random facts, random generic WWE phrases, random comments. There was nothing to her commentary. Lita's next. Got a huge pop. Threw out Mandy Rose. Kairi Sane is next. She is a boat lover, they explained.
Yachts, whatever. She competed in
yachts.
Yeah.
No longer a pirate. She likes yachts.
Well, pirates do work on boats.
Not yachts.
True. But her gimmick's a pirate. But she just, whatever.
She hit the big elbow on Sasha and Becky. Tamina comes out next. Lita tried a moonsault off the top. Almost landed on her own head, and then almost killed Sasha and Becky. That's 3 people almost killed on one spot. Crowd chanted, "You still got it," and then she got thrown out. She tossed Tamina first. Dana Brooke was in next. Remember this commentary we had about Dana Brooke? She tossed Kairi Sane. I could not believe my eyes.
They just needed Kairi Sane out, that's all.
By my count here, there were a lot of girls that could have thrown out Kairi Sane.
Whoa, God.
That should outrank Dana Brooke. Just in my opinion.
Like everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone there, sure.
Tori Wilson is in next.
I think that they still have that thing. Well, it's not as much now. I mean, obviously they did. When Dana Brooke first came up, I mean, you could tell that because the people who are running the company are bodybuilders, that they have someone who, like, was actually placing in national contests and things like that they kind of have an admiration for that because it's the same background that they have. But I don't know. Dana Brooke was much better in NXT when she's on the main roster. Like, she was booked to Charlotte's Apprentice, and then that every time you do that, the whole idea is that when you do the breakup, the person's goes after and should be like a main eventer coming out of it. And obviously that's what they were put together for. And then they gave up on her in the middle, which I can understand because I did too. And then when they finally did the breakup, it meant nothing. And this is the first time in a long time she's had any kind of real role, now that she's doing the thing where, with Titus and Apollo as the statistician.
So she tosses Kairi Sane, and then Tori Wilson tosses Dana Brooke. Sonya Deville's next. She throws out Tori. Liv Morgan is next, followed by Molly Holly, who got a big pop, and actually was one of the better workers in this match, to be quite honest. So she tossed Sarah Logan, took out Sasha with a flip dive off the top. Lana's in next. Lots of Rusev Day chants. Liv and Sonya double team her. She made her own comeback on both of them. That was a sight to see. Michelle McCool Undertaker comes out next. Plays the Undertaker role of throwing out everybody.
She's throwing out everyone, and I'll tell you what, her and Beth Phoenix I thought were very good, which I can't say about a lot of the other women. Trish Stratus was good too, but some of the women, I don't know. Like the first 2/3 of the women's match, I don't. It's like I'm watching them going like, this totally sucks. Like it's so far below WWE, or any major league like work level. I mean, the last part of the match actually I liked a lot. I mean, it was once they got rid of the people who weren't good, it was pretty good. But there were a lot of people that were not good in the early part of the match.
So she runs wild, tosses Sonya, Liv, Molly, Lana. Ruby Riot's in next. Then who should appear but Vicky Guerrero?
That was bizarre.
Comes out screaming, "Excuse me," repeatedly. Fans are chanting for Eddie. Basically, she gets in there screaming at all the girls, "Excuse me," and then they grab her and very, very gently toss her over the top rope to the floor. She survived. Carmella's next. Vicky whacks her with the briefcase. I have no idea why, but she did. Natalia's in next. And they had, of all of the women in this match, it was Becky Lynch and Carmella that had the biggest botch of anybody. I think Becky was trying to give her an exploder, but this thing fell apart for like 10 full seconds. And in the entire 10 seconds, they still couldn't do whatever they were trying to do. And so finally, they just gave up and they went their separate ways. Kelly is next. She debuted at 19. She returned here at number 19. Botched everything she tried. Did this head scissors on Michelle that was appalling. Natty tossed out Michelle. Naomi is in next. She runs wild till Becky cut her off, and Becky suplexes everybody until Ruby tosses Becky outside. She's gone. 54-year-old Jacqueline is in next, who you probably would not guess is 54 years old.
Yeah, she looked. She wasn't too bad. She was. In fact, she was good. She was good.
Nia Jax is in next. Jackie is tossed. Nia tosses Kelly.
Yeah, Nia, they totally tried to make into like the star of the Rumble.
She press slammed Ruby onto the turnbuckle, eliminated her. Tossed Naomi, but Naomi got caught by all of the girls, ends up sitting on the barricade, and she would later walk the barricade, sit on a chair, get in a wheelbarrow position, wheel her way back to the steps, and get back into the ring. Ember Moon is next. Then Beth Phoenix. They did the Naomi spot here. And then we had Natty and Beth Phoenix hug, because they're, of course, real-life best friends. And then Steph said, "Let's see how long that lasts." And sure enough, Natty tossed her. So Asuka comes out. She runs through everybody and finally gets to Ember Moon, her longtime rival who could never beat her in NXT and couldn't win the title until after Asuka left the company. Fans chant NXT. Ember hits the Eclipse. Asuka snaps her arm over the top rope, tosses her out. That's the end of Ember Moon again. Mickie James is next, then Nikki Bella. Tossed out Carmella. Brie Bella's next. Lots of yes chants. Bayley is number 29. And number 30 is Trish Stratus. So, not Ronda Rousey, but it was a good surprise. The fans were not disappointed. So, Trish and Mickey square off. Trish boots her off the top to eliminate her. Nia runs over. All the girls attack her. She roars. They all fall down. But then they swarm her. They eliminate her, and everybody boos. Sasha tosses her best friend Bayley, which should be an angle tomorrow. Natty puts Trish in the sharpshooter here in the Royal Rumble, but Trish boots out and eliminates Natalya. Then she goes for a finish on Sasha, but her finish involves running and jumping under the rope, so Sasha just lifts her up, throws her out. That's the end of her. And then bumps into Asuka, So it's Asuka and the Bellas, basically, as well as Sasha. And she tries to get the Bellas to team up and take out Asuka, but instead they double on and toss out Sasha Banks. She's out of there after like 55 minutes. So it's Asuka versus both Bellas. They're filming Total Bellas, and so Nikki eliminates her own sister.
Yeah.
That'll be like 5 episodes of this show. So it's Asuka versus Nikki, and they brawl on the apron. And finally, Nikki punches her, but Asuka kicks her legs. Nikki falls outside. Asuka, the winner of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. It was a match.
I liked it when it was down the stretch, but god damn, I mean, I don't know, it was, yeah, I mean, the thing is, on this match, it's like, there wasn't, early on, I thought, like, this match isn't doing very well, but every time they brought in somebody from the past, the crowd just responded. It was really the stars of the past, like the stars of the past and a few of the current stars. Because, like, you got Charlotte and Alexa, who are, like, really two of the top stars, really, of the current people, really maybe the two, I don't know, because you got Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch are stars too, but, and some of the others, but, I think that it felt like, the Ruby Riots and the Sarah Logans and, even like Sonya Deville and people like that, they seem so secondary to the people from the past, like the people from the past. And this is always going to happen in a Rumble, in the sense that I almost think that, like, it's I don't want to say it's not necessarily here, because for here, having all those women from the past in actually was a benefit from the entertainment portion of the show and made the match. So it worked because of it. But I think that in the future, maybe they won't do it that way. It's just they'll have enough depth that they don't have to.
So then, the main event angle, they do the Rumble, and Asuka gets in the ring with both champions because she gets to choose this year who she wants to face at WrestleMania.
So who's she facing?
Well, I guess we're going to find out here. So she's standing between them, and suddenly music hits. The fans go nuts. I'm wondering what the hell's going on. They finally cut to the Titantron.
It's bad reputation. Ronda Rousey.
There she is.
Yeah.
What do you think, says Michael Cole. Somebody says, I'm speechless, Cole. So Rousey gets in the ring. She points at the sign. Fans chant, holy shit. Offers a handshake to Asuka. Asuka just slaps her hand. She dramatically points to the sign again. The other champions just stand and look at her. And then eventually she leaves the ring. She goes to shake Stephanie's hand. Stephanie does so after a long pause. And then Ronda leaves and points at the sign again, and that's the show. Mm-hmm. We don't know who Asuka's going to face. We don't know who Ronda's going to face. Tune in tomorrow to Raw for all the answers, they claim.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. The rumor has it, this could be wrong, that it's Nia and Alexa and Charlotte and Asuka.
Nia and Alexa and Charlotte and Asuka. That'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, I think Charlotte and Asuka is actually kind of a cool match, if that's what. Because the other opportunities would be Alexa and Asuka, which you've already seen wasn't that good.
I don't need that one again.
Yeah, and Charlotte with.
Although you should pay that off somehow.
You should. You should have already.
Yes.
But they didn't want to, end the unbeaten streak. I don't think that Asuka's losing. I mean, I suppose she could lose to Charlotte and end the streak, but I've got to think that you keep her unbeaten until she does something with Rousey.
Especially now
with Rousey, not being in for just one match and being in semi-regularly or regularly or whatever the word is, which means that she's going to have like a couple of strong opponents, which again means that she needs to go against the undefeated person. I mean, I think that's like just a natural match.
So that's the Royal Rumble. Tomorrow's Raw. I guess we'll find out some of the answers to these questions. And then SmackDown as well. And they're taping... Actually, they already taped some NXT, but they'll be taping more, so...
You're taping NXT, what, Thursday and Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Atlanta.
So some of the mailbag questions here relating to the Rumble.
We were supposed to talk about the New Orleans thing.
I was going to get to that, but we can do it now. All right, if you want to attend the live mailbag, which is coming up on April 6th, the WrestleMania weekend, at 9 o'clock a.m. on April 6th.
Oh, my God. Are they
Don't
Eastern
look
time?
At me.
They're Eastern time, huh?
They are definitely Eastern time.
Oh, that's going to be tough. Well, we're got to do it.
But Dave's going to be there, everybody. Oops. I may be asleep, but Dave's definitely going to be there, so...
I may be asleep too, but we'll see.
We'll be there, everybody. Anyway, you can go to mailbag.brownpapertickets.com. Right now, the reserved front row sold out. The reserved second and third sold out. There is general admission tickets available. It'll be taking place at the Royal St. Charles Hotel Meeting Room in New Orleans. And once again, that is Royal St. Charles Hotel Meeting Rooms, 135 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, April 6th at 9 o'clock a.m. It'll be, I think, a 2-hour live mailbag, if I recall correctly. And we'll be there. Oh, 90 minutes, I'm sorry. 90 minutes with Dave and I, because Dave and I actually both have shows to go to that day. Doors will open at 8:45 a.m. If there are tickets left, live show begins at 9:30, ends at 11. Black Label Pro and Filthy Tom will be providing complimentary donuts and pastries while they last, it says. And a lot of other notes as well. Once again, the address mailbag.brownpapertickets.com, and there will be information up on the front page as well. So there you go. We'll talk about that more as the date draws nearer. This person here says, who put together these Royal Rumble matches? The men's match was the best in years, this person says.
I don't know. I haven't asked who put them together. I guess that's something I'll ask that tomorrow.
People keep asking about Neville. Is there truth to the rumor that WWE is freezing his contract? Why is this so quiet?
He's not allowed to talk, and they're not talking, so that's why it's quiet. He wants out of his contract, and if it's frozen, it's like that's the same thing that happened with Rey Mysterio and with Bryan Danielson, and man, those frozen contracts last a long time. I mean, eventually Rey did get out of his frozen contract, although it took forever. And Daniel Bryan, they had to bring him back for a GM job, so now he's unfrozen. But if they didn't bring him back for that GM job, I was like, this was going to be like the freaking Ice Age. That is like the weird. I guess he could have sued to get out of his contract, and perhaps Neville could do that. Perhaps, because at some point, I mean, you can't hold somebody forever. But he did sign a contract, so it's not like it's there's two sides to this one. But yeah. That's what we got. It's like I feel bad because the guy wants to do stuff. The guy's great. He's really great. And he's just, his choice is to go back. And for whatever reason, maybe the best thing if they're going to freeze your contract is just go back and play out your contract and then do what you need to do, because it's going to be frozen forever. That's to nobody's benefit.
This person here says, Lesnar got concussed working with Hunter, who had to talk him through the rest of the match. This was back when WWE was already working with Harvard and Chris Nowinski. Was there a discussion point about what WWE did wrong? Would that be accepted now?
They're a lot more careful than they are, but put it this way, like when guys have gotten concussions in the middle of a match, I remember like when Finn Balor with Jinder Mahal last year, it's not like they stopped the match. It's like, because you don't know, but it's like, and with Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar, and that was brutal. And it's not like they stopped the match then either. So the right thing to do would be to stop the match, but at the same time, it's a performance art, and I think they try to take care of it afterwards. I mean, it's an evolving thing. You know, if you just stop, I mean, yeah, in theory, you should just stop the match. You know, but you don't know it's a concussion. You know, and the talent may know, and the talent's not going to tell you. I mean, if the talent thinks, oh my God, I got a concussion, the mentality of talent in the middle of a match is they just want to keep going and do their match and do the match the best they can and do the finish that's planned at the time it's planned. So the inevitability is you get what we always get. If it's not, you know, if it's not immediately recognizable, I mean, I'm sure that the referees are told that if it's immediately recognizable, you stop it, but it's, you know, usually it's not.
This person here says, any chance we have a cruiserweight title determined in an elimination chamber match?
Just a chance of anything. Yeah, they could announce that on Tuesday. So I think they're making the announcement Tuesday on how they're going to determine the title. But yeah, we got an elimination coming up, elimination chamber coming up. You could do 2 of them. Yeah, I don't think they. Well, I don't want to say I don't think. I don't know. I have no clue. So yeah, it could be done.
This person wants to know why David Letterman and Vince McMahon hated each other.
I'm not really. God, you know, I used to know. I don't remember exactly what it was that caused it.
This person wants to know who works as an agent for NXT, who helps put those matches together. Do they have more freedom than on the main roster?
Seems like they do. I mean, I would think Matt Bloom probably, right? People like that. Sean, maybe. Steve Corino. I think those are like some of the key people.
This person here says, what do you think about Samoa Joe being on the NXT pre-show panel tonight? Do you think WWE is worried about his constant injuries and considering finding another role for him in case the injuries don't stop?
No. Just get him, just get him some exposure. He's a great talker and he doesn't need to disappear. But he's not, again, I don't know when he's supposed to be coming back. I guess it's a week-to-week thing that when he's ready, but they don't know how long it's going to be.
This person says, WWE claimed their house show in Baltimore a couple of days ago was their biggest house show in the last 10 years. Was that referring to attendance? How many people were there?
No, it was gate. The attendance was, because the ticket prices are much higher than ever before, it's easier to do. It was the biggest, I don't know if it was I was told that it was the biggest gate for a non-TV, non-pay-per-view show, for a house show that's ever been, which would make sense because ticket prices are so much higher than they've ever been that, it wasn't sold out. It wasn't even close to sold out. But you don't have to sell out with much higher ticket prices to break old gate records that they used to do on sellouts. So that is a fact, though. They did the best they did the best house show gate in the history of the city.
It says, was the reason we got a 40-man Royal Rumble in 2011 just so WWE could make sure all the members of the new Nexus in the core would be in the match? Do you think we'll get another 40-man Rumble to introduce some of the NXT talent someday?
You never say never, but I think it was, my impression was it was an experiment. And when it was over, they felt that it was too crowded and that 30 was better than 40. And I think that I remember afterwards, I thought the same thing. So that doesn't mean it won't happen again, but, the idea was to test it out and make it, if we're going to go with 40, and then afterwards, the feeling was that 30 is better than 40.
And finally, this person says, I just realized Takao Omori was in the 1996 Royal Rumble. What is the story behind that? He seemed like such a strange choice to be in the match. There were a lot of Royal Rumbles where they would just grab like Carlos Colon or whoever and just a random Royal Rumble.
Well, usually it was political in the sense of it was somebody that they're working with that you knew. Like, yeah, Carlos Colon they were working with at the time, and he was a legend. So they may have had a working relationship with All Japan at that point, 96. Was Omori still with All? I don't even remember if Omori was still with All Japan at the time. Probably was, right? 96. Yeah. So I think that they had sent some guys to All Japan. The Blackjacks had gone, and so maybe it was just, hey, we want an international flavor for the Royal Rumble. We want to bring in somebody from Japan. He's from the company that we're working with. We want to sell a few pay-per-views in Japan, type of a thing, maybe like when they had Akibono at the WrestleMania that one year. Same thing.
Alrighty, everybody. On that note, we're going to wrap it up for today. 90-minute show yesterday talking the NXT TakeOver show.